Now that we've added the darker blotches to the face of our monster, we're ready to now go in and add some lighter blotches to add even further depth to the skin. Okay, so here's where we left off in the last video with refining some of these darker blotches. Okay, so let's first of all go ahead and save this color that we were working with to make the darker blotches in case we ever need to come back and do some further work. Okay, so what we can do is open up this swatches palette. Okay, and with this active, we can go ahead and select the paintbrush tool. Let's add this to our palette, and we can just simply call this dark blotch or whatever you want to name it. Okay, we'll go ahead and click OK, and now that color's been stored as a swatch that we can use at any time. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a new layer, and this layer will be for the lighter blotches. Okay, and let's go ahead and select a lighter color to be able to work with. And let's go ahead and try and pick something that's pretty close to that gray color that we used for the membrane on the side of the head. So sort of a lighter gray. Okay, let's go ahead and switch back to our paintbrush tool and open up the brushes palette. Okay, let's go ahead and on this splatter number 46 brush, let's go ahead and take the diameter back up to something like 46. We're pretty close to it. Okay, let's see how this is going to look. Make sure everything's still pretty much how it needs to be. And actually, it looks like that number jumped up a little bit. Let me take that back to 46. Okay, that's actually pretty good. I'll go ahead and use this as my lighter blotches. Okay, so this splatter 46 with all the adjustments that we made in the earlier video. Okay, so similar to what we did before, I'm going to go ahead and actually zoom out a little bit and use this to add just a little bit of color just kind of everywhere. Okay, and I'm just going to go really lightly over pretty much the entire face. As I mentioned before, I tend to use these circular patterns because they really make it easier to blend in some of these colors. Let's see. Looks like I accidentally turned off the visibility of one of my layers. Okay, so once I've got a little bit of lighter color just sort of scattered throughout this this creature, now what I can do is go in and do something pretty similar to what we did with the darker colored blotches, which is now we can go in, lower the brush size. Let's take this back down to a pretty small number, let's say about 15. And now we can go in, like I said, just with like we did with the darker blotches, and start to add a little bit more detail in the areas that we need. So one area that I would like to get a little bit more of a lighter color on is this ridge that we're starting to build, kind of right in the middle of the head. Use some of these lighter blotches to add sort of a false highlight to the inside of this, and maybe even a little bit of a false highlight right down the center. Okay, let me go ahead and move up a little bit. Let's take a look at this. And looks like this probably needs to be tapered a little bit more. This lighter color looks like it's coming to an end fairly abruptly. Okay, let me go ahead and add just a little bit more. Maybe this lighter streak that we're starting to bring down the middle of his head. I'll very, very lightly, with almost no pen pressure at all, just try and taper this out a little bit and sort of try to blend some of these skin tones together. Okay, so let's go ahead and just really quickly take a look at what we've got. I'll go ahead and save this. We'll jump back over to Maya, reload this Photoshop texture, and let's see how things are going. Okay, so here's what we've got. And you can see how we're starting to now build up this skin ridge. in the middle of his forehead. Okay, so that's coming along pretty nicely. And I'm not too satisfied with this center part. It looks like it's coming to an end awfully abruptly. So let me go back to Photoshop and let's see what we can do to fix that. Okay, that's actually this area right here. Let's try switching to our eraser tool. Okay, and with the eraser tool selected, let's go to brushes. Okay, I'm going to select other dynamics, and I want the opacity set to the pen pressure. Okay, that way the harder I push, the more it erases. And what I can usually do is use something like that, push real lightly on the edges, and then start to push a little harder as I get more toward the center, and just very, very lightly start to erase some of these areas away. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, so before I reload this, here's what the original ridge looked like. Let's reload this and see how that looks. Okay, that's much better. That's much more natural now. Okay, so in the next video, we'll go ahead and start to now add some of the creases around the lips.